One
Okay,
thing has
go.
to be considered is that we are 55 weeks away from the midterm elections, 55 weeks. And already politicians, especially the leader of the Senate, is thinking that they're going to get their doors blown off the way it's going down. I don't know if anybody's seen polls lately, but the unapproval rating of the president is at an all-time low. Nobody believes him on the economy. Affordability is an issue. Unfortunately, the president can't say the word. So no one really trusts him on that. And it's just going to get worse. And then you have this thing dangling around. So any amendments that come up that for stall the release of the files, that's just going to make it worse. They want to get this out and over with and think about the future.
Welcome to Third Side Convo with your host, Bob Phipps. Your panelists today are Ted Johnson, Jeff Klein, Michelle Walters, and Gatlin Bounds. And now, your host, Bob Phipps.
All right, folks. Tonight we're diving into the Epstein Files. Yeah, they're finally releasing some of this stuff. But don't worry, we're not turning this into a conspiracy buffet. We're going to talk about it like adults, or at least adults who try. You know, anytime the government says, we're releasing everything, well, we all know what that means. Here's the part where we feel like sharing. It's the political version of cleaning your room by shoving everything under the bed. So tonight we're asking, why do the powerful always seem to get the deluxe version of justice? You know, why does transparency move slower than a DMV line? And how are regular people supposed to trust institutions that can't tell a full story without a Sharpie? Let's get into it calmly, because this is Third Side Convo, not cable news. So what I'd like to ask is, you know, without being conspiracy or whatever, are we going to find out anything with this first release?
Are we going to find anything? Well, if we look back at history in the last, 12 months, whoever is running the Justice Department, when the president orders them, either by Truth Social or in person, they do it. Drop charges, they do it. Pardon their friends, they do it. Literally snap their fingers, charge a Federal Reserve official, they do it. So I think
that's kind of beyond the Epstein, isn't it? I mean, beyond the Epstein,
absolutely,
what are we going to learn?
It remains to be seen what orders come down to the Attorney General regarding this report. There's a good chance that right at the end, oh, wait, something else has come up, or there's a new investigation. We can't release everything.
All right, Gatlin,
make the issue go away.
Gatlin, I know you want to jump in on that one, Gatlin. What's your thoughts on what we might learn because of this Epstein release?
Well, you know, what I'm going to tell you right now is we're going to learn a lot of things about just basically how deep the swamp goes. And I think it's time for us to actually drain it, get that point that this current administration has been running on since 2016 and drain that swamp. I also think that what's going to happen is we're going to finally get some proof of what we already know, is that there's lots of corrupt Democrats out there, and we're about to have to just basically hang them out to dry.
Wow. Jeff, that was pretty pointed. What's your first thoughts on what we're going to learn?
Well, I think, first of all, we're going to stop being so partisan about this silly, ridiculous issue that should have nothing to do with politics, except that a bunch of politicians are involved. We're going to learn, I predict that we're going to learn some new names of people who've been to Epstein Island, whether they be celebrities or politicians. We're going to learn some new names, so we have some new boogeymen to go after and cancel or chase or what have you. And hopefully the political part of this whole issue will go away, but I don't have much hope in that hope.
Well, Jeff, I think, that's what we're rooting for here on Third Side Convo, is to get that. Now, Michelle, the voyeurism to this thing is just amazing. I mean, waiting to hear who's that name. What's your thinking here?
I mean, my thinking is whether you sit there and release this or not, it doesn't make a difference. At the end of the day, I don't think that a lot is going to change. Victims are continuing to be victimized. They're not going to receive justice. They haven't received justice. Then the perpetrators are continuing to sit there and to escape, to escape prosecution. And there's prosecution should be made on both sides. I mean, and it runs on both sides of the aisle, religious affiliation, race, religion, it doesn't make a difference. The sad part about it is I think in 5 years from now, we're still not going to be any further down the road than where we are today. And I mean, the only person that we've seen that's actually had any sense of any form of negative consequence to it is a woman who's in a country club and a guy who's been stripped of his royal title, but can still go off and live his nice, glorious life. So I don't necessarily see any justice. I don't even see, what the purpose is of even releasing this, because I don't think anybody at the end of the day is going to be prosecuted.
Wow.
Well, the victims want the names out.
Wow, that's negative.
The victims
It is negative. No, we've already known who the names are. We've already known.
Not
all
all
of
of
that, but the Epstein, the island, all of that. Everything has been, this man has sat there and videotaped everything, absolutely everything. And the FBI on both sides of the aisle are very well aware. They know what's in them. They're going to sit there and they're going to stand behind, confidentiality. This is, it's going to go against government clearance, whatever the case might be. No, and this runs long and deep and wide on both sides, and nobody's going to want to sit there and give up their power.
Well, I don't understand why there aren't more Hollywood names being thrown around.
It's political power, though. But also, though, you look at a lot of the modeling agencies. You look at Tom Ford. That was one of the top modeling agencies in the day. They were thickened with Epstein. Do you even see their name even being mentioned? No, not at all.
Because the girls were victims. That's why.
Absolutely.
Well, let's be honest with ourselves here. With the release of these names, it's going to be a complete breakdown of many different structures within this country. We're talking about the political structure, the financial sector. We're talking about the Hollywood, the popular culture sector. There are so many people that are going to be within these lists that it is going to crumble many different parts of this country. And one thing I will say is that I think that the current administration has taken this and has done a horrible job with handling this, but I don't think it's something that we need to be so willy-nilly on. I think it has to be exacted with a strategic purpose.
I contend that it's actually a very, very old story, and that is sex used as a tool to compromise people. And therefore, many people are susceptible to that, very powerful people, including like a famous attorney used to teach at Harvard, who's on conservative websites all the time. He's involved because he can't resist the allure of young women saying, "Well, do whatever you want and don't worry about it. It'll never come back to you." And that's the lure. And it's very powerful, and it goes everywhere. And it's been done through, I don't know, a couple thousand years. So I think that's what's interesting, is whether the total clarity of the issues per person, per victim, comes out. We'll see.
No, and it's not going to come out. And that's the hard part about it is that they have been trying to sit there and get their story out. And in my opinion, it just gets muffled one way or another. There's a lot of names that I hear in more along the lines, I feel like, in silence, than compared to their not being persecuted for their role that they took in this. Like I said, let's look at the Tom Ford agency that were able to, they sat there and sent tons of models to those islands, tons of them. Are you even hearing their names at all? Not at all. Not only that, but with the producers and these high directors, directors, actors, this and that were all a part of this, parties, scripts, this, that they were sitting there and offering these girls an opportunity, and it was just stripped away. The only opportunity they got was, being assaulted.
I think I got a feeling it was a much more surreptitious operation, where it was a whisper thing, off the books thing. Hey, Epstein would say to, like you say, some type of person at Ford, ship me 20 girls. They all have to be XXX.
Absolutely.
Tell them we'll pay them in cash, and not to say anything about it, and probably even make them sign NDAs. So I think that was taken. Now, should that story come out? Absolutely. Will it come out? I have hopes. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, we haven't had a vote like this in Congress in quite a while. We had a vote. There was one dissension on the whole thing, which is an amazing concept. It seems like everybody wants this out, Jeff. But you don't think nothing's going to happen with this?
Well, I don't see what structures Gatlin's talking about that are going to collapse, I think a bunch of names are going to come out of people that nobody that didn't know, and the public didn't know we're at these parties, or visited the island or flew on the airplane. We only know some, we know big names, but I just predict there are going to be there's some new people that can get chased by the reporters now and have to explain themselves.
Well, I'll say this.
Listen, hold on, Jeff, if I may, these structures that I was talking about, I really, I don't know you guys very well yet, but I want to believe that there's a bit of naivety that I'm hearing here. If there's a royal and many other politicians that we already know, and high roller actors that we know are on the lists already, how many more of these politicians, royals, big people in big institutions are in these lists? And once they are taken out and taken to justice, it's going to leave power vacuums. These power vacuums need to be filled. We have to have systems in place in order to help these institutions not break down. Now, I'm saying we need to release them as soon as possible, but we need to be able to recover from the fallout. I mean, that's what I talk about.
That's a reason why some of that will be redacted by the FBI. At the same time, though, and I was going to tell Michelle that if anything was not going to come out, it was going to be the Pentagon Papers. And the Pentagon Papers came out. One reason why it came out is somebody had a moral crisis, knowing that thousands and thousands of young men were being killed for a war that wasn't be winnable. That's one reason why that person took the steps to bring out the Pentagon Papers and get them published. Is that the same level of seriousness in the Epstein files? Probably not, but it has garnered enough attention that there's going to be a lot of spotlight on what's said and when it's said.
I think that whether or not there are pedophiles within sexual deviants within our government and other institutions, I think that is just as important as, making sure that thousands of men don't die for a war that isn't able to be won. In some ways, in a moral stance, I would say it's even more important. I don't want those kind of people.
Yeah,
I don't want those kind of people.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
But if some A-list actor it turns out to be, on one of these lists and has to explain himself, or either prove it didn't happen or whatever the case may be, that there's no institutions collapsing because some actor is going to winds up in jail or in court.
Well, no, not an actor, but I'm talking about the other different institutions, say CEOs of companies, large leaders of corporations, politicians that lead our nation, that lead all of our different institutions in government. Not all of them. Not all of them.
But we know about some big ones that their supporters don't seem to care about any of this.
Well, yes, and I will take the nonpartisan opinion on this. Yeah, but they are Democrat supporters. What do you mean?
Who are they? 70% of the emails that have been come out so far have the President of the United States as part of the conversation of 70% of the emails that have been revealed.
Yeah, that tells you a lot, but we've got to go ahead and take our first break, and then we'll figure out where we go with this interesting conversation, which we're getting tons of agreement on that they should have come out. Like I said, we had the agreement in Congress. That's an amazing concept, but please subscribe. Go on thirdsideconvo.com, check Spotify, YouTube TV, and we'll be right back after first word from our sponsor.
Aw, Dad, my computer's slow again and I can't play my games.
Call Your Computer Solutions today, and we will scan for viruses and clean that computer up remotely and make it fast again. Our phone number is 407-826-0810.
Thanks, Dad. My computer's fast again. Now I can do my homework. Thanks for calling Your Computer Solutions at 407-826-0810. The Tri-Beer Show would like to thank Boggy Creek Airboat Adventures for being one of our sponsors. I got to go on an airboat and saw a real gator. I even got to go to the gem mine and mine for some gems. We ate a steak dinner at the restaurant and even got some gator bites. If you want to have a blast with the entire family, I suggest you go to www.bcairboats.com right now to get your tickets today. The website again is bcairboats.com.
Now, we're back, but the release of these things is obviously going to happen, but we also know that there's going to be things that are hidden. But does this release inspire anybody that there's going to be some faith back in our government that we're finally releasing these things after so long? Jeff, you're nodding.
Well, no, I'm shaking my head because this has been the opposite, Bob. It wasn't supposed to be a partisan issue. And yet one party ran on it as an election issue, right. And then after the election changed their mind and decided it was a bad idea.
All right.
I mean, it's just one of those. It's one of. I mean, and I sit there and I look at it to where what was it? The congresswoman though from the U.S. Virgin Islands when she was sitting there and when they were talking about this, in the congressional hearings, to where Epstein was actually going directly to her and funneling questions or finding out exactly what questions were going to be. I'm like, I mean, are you serious?
He was texting information during a hearing.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, and if that's not insane, I don't necessarily know what the definition is. And I'm like, the bare minimum. I mean, if you can't even necessarily get real true transparency on that, then honestly, I mean, how can you sit there and be able to sit there and trust the system? Because, I mean, aside from Jeffrey Epstein, there's a lot of names on this list that go way higher than him. Way higher than our president, way higher than a lot of individuals that are on our roster or on our favorites, iPhone list. So
who's higher than the president?
There's, I mean, who puts the president in power? That's who's higher than the president.
The people do. So I think one thing has to be considered is that
we put him in power.
One thing that has to be
okay. That's, I mean,
all right. Let Ted go.
That's a different show.
One thing has to be considered is that we are 55 weeks away from the midterm elections, 55 weeks. And already politicians, especially the leader of the Senate, is thinking that they're going to get their doors blown off the way it's going down. I don't know if anybody's seen polls lately, but the unapproval rating of the president is at an all-time low. Nobody believes him on the economy. Affordability is an issue. Unfortunately, the president can't say the word. So no one really trusts him on that. And it's just going to get worse. And then you have this thing dangling around. So any amendments that come up that for stall the release of the files, that's just going to make it worse. They want to get this out and over with and think about the future. And so that possibly makes something like a full disclosure possible. We'll see.
Well, I mean, listen, any trust within this government, there's going to have to be a lot more than just, here's the list, we're releasing it, happy, there you go. As I said before, this administration has done a horrible job. Even though I voted for this administration and I support it wholeheartedly, they did a horrible job at keeping this all under wraps, going back on election promises, things like that. So what has to happen is not only releasing the files, but actually taking action to prosecute these people. We need to hang them out to dry. We need to see real justice.
That I have is, what do the files actually consist of? I mean, is it one of those to where are they emails? Are they videos? I mean, what does it all completely, what do these files?
Great question.
I mean, comprise of? I mean, is it one of those to where are we only seeing certain things from the island, other things from his, from his place in Manhattan?
Some of it's the law enforcement data that are, the files that they collected in order to prosecute and build cases. Some of it's that.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I don't really think the content matters. I think what matters here is that we get these names, whatever content is available, and we're able to go into discovery so that we can find out what truly did happen on this island, on Little St. James, and, hopefully prosecute and just absolutely go after these guys.
That should be what's in there, is who and what, and so I agree. Let's shine a light on them and prosecute them. Mm-hmm. Most of us don't care what party they belong to.
No, a scumbag's a scumbag.
100%, I agree.
I'd always heard for some reason that they didn't have the video files that everybody was expecting. But yet you had thought, at least you'd heard, that he had this whole thing outfitted for all that. But I had heard they really didn't have the video files. Anybody else know about that,
I
Ted?
think
Did you hear?
though, that's one of the things
Video.
that I absolutely I don't trust. I mean, there's too many of these girls that have come out, and I've listened to them and I've listened to their stories, and every single one of them has basically outlined and said, "Hey, listen, he recorded everything, not necessarily only on the island, but all of his other homes, and I don't necessarily know how many other homes that he had, but obviously there was a plethora of them where they said his stuff was recorded." Constantly, absolutely constantly.
Well, I mean, listen, government lied. What else are you going to tell me? The sky's blue, grass is green. You know, I mean, let's be honest here. Let's just be honest with each other.
Yeah.
Whether there's a red or a blue in the office, there's going to be a bunch of liars.
But back to the point is that they just toured through. Epstein had a 3 or 4 story brownstone in Manhattan, and they went through it, and you could see cameras up in the rooms, some of the back rooms, the guest rooms.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, he had cameras everywhere, every single one of his places. So, I mean, are those going to be in the files?
Well, I mean, if that's the case, then we need to press the government further. The only reason that these are starting to get a vote to release is because conservatives and liberals on both sides of the aisle are pressing the government. They're feeling the heat. They're like, okay, we can't shake them anymore. We've got to do something. So
and recordings would be the property of the estate of this guy, and the FBI went in and seized all his stuff. So if there are video files that exist, they should be in an FBI warehouse.
I have no idea.
I mean, yeah. Where the location of everything is I think that's a moot point. I think what the total point is,
if they exist, if he took a bunch of videos, the FBI would have seized them as part of the criminal case.
Mm-hmm.
And so they should be part of these files.
I mean, we can speculate what's in the files all day long till the cows come home. You know what I mean? But what is not going to change is how we react to it. We need to react to it with full force, no discrimination, and absolutely no mercy.
Got it. All right. Well, hey, Michelle, we got to go and take our next break, but it is interesting. In these times, you know, the cancel culture and everything else that has happened over these X number of years, I can't believe that this is just going to be an incredible cancel situation for everybody. So please subscribe. In fact, if you're interested in being on the show, let us know. Go on to thirdsideconvo.com. Check us out on YouTube. Like us. And we'll be right back after a word from our sponsor.
Corona Cigar Company is your one-stop shop for all your cigar needs. Whether that's a brand new humidor, a box of those new cigars you've been waiting for, a top-of-the-line cutter or lighter, a place to enjoy the finest cigars and spirits with friends, or the only cigars grown right here in the Sunshine State, we've got you covered. Come visit one of our retail locations for the ultimate cigar experience. Visit us online at coronacigar.com.
Oak Ridge Gun Range is a family-oriented shooting range that has been in business for over 30 years. They specialize in basic firearm training and offer numerous services such as consignments, gun trades, gunsmithing, and concealed weapon classes. I even got my training for gun safety at Oak Ridge Gun Range. Great customer service, and firearm safety is what they do best. So find out more at oakridgegunrange.com.
All right, you know, the videos could be interesting. Joe Boy is just mentioning that since underage people are involved, it's going to be interesting on whether or not they can let these things out, or they're going to have to be blurred, or what.
They'll be redacted.
There will be a lot of redaction. There already has been. But I guess, you know, and in this show, what's interesting is we're all kind of in agreement, just like the Congress, which is the most amazing thing. I've never seen so much agreement in a show as we've got today, which is hang the bastards, right? Is that kind of what everybody's thinking is?
Yes.
Ted?
Yeah, well, there's enough. There is enough live oak here in East Texas, so we can find the wood for the gallows.
Absolutely.
Well,
yes, I agree with you.
Well, we know Bill Gates already had to, you know, because, of course, Melinda told him, get the hell away from this guy. And Ted, what do you think the 4 years from now, what will be the effect of the Epstein Files being released?
Well, it depends how much comes out, but I think definitely this is a dead raccoon around the power in charge, the political power in charge. And they want to get rid of it. They want to get rid of it as fast as they can and get on with something else. They don't want to have this saying, oh, we blocked it, or not all of it came out, or any mystery around it is going to make it much more confusing and be a real anchor come 2026 and 2028.
Yeah.
And I would say that if there is any fumble on either side of the aisle, it's going to cause so much distrust from the opposite side or even from the interior. Both Democrats and Republicans need to be extremely careful about how they handle these next few months, because the dissent from any screw ups is going to be an enormous fallout.
Hey, Jeff, you were. Yeah,
I don't think anything in these files is going to have any impact on next presidential election.
Disagree.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know, though. I mean, but one of the things,
it's too
I
far
don't know.
away. We've given the people have forgiven too much disgusting garbage from people that they choose to vote for this to be any different than any of that.
I think that you're forgetting my voter demographic, which are young men between 18 and 35, right? We, especially here in the conservative movement, we have so much fire underneath our butts to get things done. We've seen how mishandled our government has been for the past 25, 30 years. And we will take the necessary steps in order to make sure that these punishments happen, that this change happens. You're looking at it right now. I mean, if you look.
Twice you voted for a guy who grabbed him by the X.
But overall, though, at the end of the day, though, I mean, and it wasn't illegal. I mean, it wasn't.
It's not.
And dealing with an underage woman. I mean, an underage woman.
I mean, listen.
I'm a guy too, and we didn't.
You know what I mean? Is it a shame
women
that you
that
do?
way.
Absolutely. You know.
This is that's locker room talk. Come on, let's be honest here.
I will say this.
And I
will
never
say
heard
this,
anything like that.
Okay, Tad. Yeah, I got it.
I will say that the claim is, well, gee, if this was so bad, why didn't the former president do it? Well, it wasn't the jobs of the former president. He didn't run the Justice Department like the current occupant is. He sees it as a personal henchman to go out and get everybody he wants. He let the whole system take care of itself.
The reason it's an issue is because he campaigned on it.
Exactly.
Well, hold on. Hold on. The previous administration went after him like a rabid friggin' dog. You really think that if they had something on him, they wouldn't have released it to eliminate any? So they tried to arrest him, didn't work. They tried to sue him, didn't work. Tried to assassinate him, didn't work.
No, wait a minute. Who tried to? You mean, are you saying the Democrats tried to pull off an assassination? Is that what you just said?
No.
Well, it was a leftist. It was someone who is on the left-leaning side of the spectrum. We have all of those now.
No, he's
talking about Thomas Hooks or Crooks, whatever his name is.
The guy was a crazy guy.
I'm not talking about that old fart. I'm talking about the guy who actually shot.
The kid up on the
Yes,
hill?
Thomas Crooks. Thomas Crooks.
He's a leftist.
Yes, a leftist, evade them, non-binary furry. So
Stop.
There
It
you
has
go.
nothing to do with what we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. It has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
Okay, let's listen to Michelle a second. This is weird. Well, let me just.
No, I mean, we're sitting here, we're talking about a pedophile. We're talking about a person who has sat there and victimized women after women. And for the majority, one of the things that we all know, they run in packs. You know what I mean? They know other people that are doing this. This is a situation that is occurring in another place, in another brownstone, in another island, and another bullshit place that these women are being sit there and taken advantage of. And if you don't think, though, that the information is already currently in the files to be able to sit there and start an investigation upon somebody else of, okay, well, who's the next Epstein? Because there's always another. They don't go away. They don't die. They're a cockroach. You know what I mean? They survive and they just morph into something else. And so that's my biggest question that I'm sitting there and taking out of all of this and all of these files, because I don't necessarily believe that the people are going to be prosecuted, but I want to find out, are we going to be able, I mean, is Pam Bondi or whoever happens to be in the next administration, are you guys going to find out who is the next MF, you know what I mean, perp that is sitting there and, you know what I mean, victimizing these women day after day after day? And at some point, they need to be held accountable for.
You're right. Go nuclear.
Every Justice Department decides on their priorities.
Yes, but this is a priority that should everybody should have. That's the thing.
I mean, we're not just looking at who the purpose. I mean, we also need to sit there. Okay,
all right.
Where are we sitting there and seeing some of the voyeurisms and things like that? You know what I mean? Okay, is this person seem to be having an X number of women over at their places,
Joe.
or they seem to be having these particular type of parties, or whatever the case might be.
And somebody should focus on sex crimes and crimes against children, but I'd like them to also focus on keeping us from getting blown up again. Let's not have another 9/11. You know, I mean, that's what the Justice Department has to make choices because they have limited resources.
Yes, but again, I think that this is far too important just to sweep under the rug with platitudes like, "Hey, we need to."
That's right.
Nobody's suggesting that.
I don't think we are. Listen, this is an interesting show. We've never done this before. We had all the agreement in the main part of the show. Then we get to the other, and then it took Michelle to bring us back to what this is all about. There were a lot of people harmed. There were, and we need to find out who those people are that did it. Thank you for a great show tonight, guys. Please check us out. Go on thirdsideconvo.com or YouTube. And we will be back next week with another show on Third Side Convo.